think we are live on Instagram and Facebook. Awesome. So I am super glad to be here with you today. I really enjoy just coming on and talking and teaching. I love that element, and it's so fun to prepare. Like, as I was preparing this video and the things that I want to talk about today, I'm like, oh, this is so good. Like, I look forward to teaching. But what I love even more is coaching, when not only do I get to teach this, but that interaction. And as I've worked with and coached women, it's so fun to see not only like, here's the information, this is some great stuff, right? And that's what I did on the podcast for many years, and I love that. But I especially love when I see people apply it, when they have their own breakthroughs, when we get to have that conversation. It's just so cool to me to be a part of that process. And that is why I love coaching. So I'm going to teach you some great stuff today that I hope you will love and will make a big difference for you. But know that this is only the tip of the iceberg, because when we learn the information, it's really great. We get to learn it. Sometimes it's hard to take that next step and to implement. And that's what coaching does. I hold your hand through the process and I help you, because a lot of things come up as you're trying to work on your goals and make progress. And I help you to break down the process, but also I help you when, those fears and things just, so we're so complex as humans. So many things do come up along the way. And so it's just fun as a coach to work on those things. So let's dive in to today's content. We're going to talk about how to set big goals that you will actually accomplish. And I know that we all have set goals that we haven't actually gotten to. Some of this comes in when what we're setting is not even a goal. So I looked up the definition of a goal, and the definition of a goal is that you're working towards a desired result. Now, I think what happens is some of us don't actually set goals, we set ideals. And an ideal is something, interestingly, I looked at the definition of that, and it exists only in the imagination, or it's something that's like in its perfect state. So if you think about that, if it exists only in the imagination, of course you can't accomplish that. That's something that's never going to be accomplished. But I think in real life, what that actually looks like is we'll set a goal. So this one is really setting an ideal, right? But we think we're setting a goal and we say, okay, I want to, in fact, I did this not too long ago. I want to get fit and toned. I don't like relying on the scale. I have a bad history with the scale. I don't want to weigh myself. So I didn't want to, I know goals are supposed to be measurable and all that, but I didn't want to put a weight number on it. I didn't feel comfortable doing that. And so I thought, well, that's not what I want. Like, I just want to be fit and toned, because being totally transparent here, over COVID, too much ice cream was eaten at my house. And that combined with the stress, I just was feeling a little bit out of shape. I don't even know. Just my clothes weren't fitting the way I wanted them to. Not that I couldn't keep up, like, exercise wise, but just aesthetically, it wasn't where I wanted to be. So get fit and toned. The truth is, that's an ideal. Here's the difference. With a goal, you know when you get there, and you realize, you can recognize, I am here, I have arrived, I have achieved this result. And that's a lot different feeling than am I fit and toned? Like, some days we're going to feel better about our bodies, some days we're going to feel worse. That's just life. We can't quite know when we get there, and we have this ideal, we have this picture in our mind of what it will look like and what it will feel like. But the truth is, reality often doesn't feel the way that we pictured it in our mind. So we need to have some kind of a measuring stick. We can also do this in business. I want to have a successful business. We picture like, oh, it'll be successful, and all these wonderful things will happen, but without like a clear measure of, I want to make this dollar amount, or I want to publish a book through a traditional publisher, or whatever your goal is, that you can measure and see that result and know that you've accomplished it, it's not really a goal, it's an ideal. And the problem with that is it leaves us feeling really frustrated because we never get there. We have this goal to be fit and toned or to be successful in our life or in our business, but we never feel like we have arrived. And the problem is we never set a destination to arrive to in the first place. It's not that we're not making progress, it's that we don't have a way to measure the progress that we are making. So that first step then is to be really clear and to set goals that you can measure. And you've probably heard that before, right? But we want them to be so measurable that we know exactly when we have gotten there. Sometimes, like, okay, in the weight example, it's easy to measure your weight, right? Like we know, okay, lose 20 pounds or whatever. We know when we've gotten there. But a lot of times we have other goals that are like, I want a better relationship with my husband. Well, that again is an ideal. It's not a goal. How do you know when you've gotten there? You need to break that down and figure out what are things that I can measure that if we were doing in our relationship, I would know that things were going well. Maybe it's how often you're going out on dates. Maybe it's how often you're being intimate. Maybe it's how often you're having meaningful conversations or hanging out together after the kids go to bed. Whatever that looks like for you, to actually have that kind of system to measure lets you know that you can, that you are making progress toward your goal. And of course, the feeling that you want at the end of that goal is a better relationship. But these are the the steps, and this is the way you can measure that you're moving toward that goal. So, one other thing that derails us when we're setting these goals, first is not being clear, but the other thing is sometimes we set too many. We can picture this life that we want to have, and we want to look a certain way, and we want to have certain things, and we want to do certain things and go places and all these things. And sometimes we can end up with a list. Have you ever done this with your New Year's resolutions? End up with a list of 20 resolutions, and you've got all these things to work on, and you're overwhelmed before you've even started. So I think, I won't say who it was, someone said, if you have more than three priorities, you have none. And what that means is that you really don't want to be working toward more than three goals at the maximum at one time. Um, that doesn't mean other things won't happen in your life, but when we're talking setting big goals, you want no more than three. I currently have two for the year. But 1 to 3 is enough to really get you going and that you can accomplish and that you can see progress. So the next step is it should feel hard and far away. In The Art of Impossible, Stephen Kotler talks about high, hard goals. So these are things that are outside of what you feel like you can accomplish right now. It's not a goal to walk around the block if it's something that you're doing regularly, right? It's not like you don't feel that sense of accomplishment. It is a goal to go run a marathon. For most of us, that's something we would have to train for and work towards, and that like is not in our current what we're doing day to day, and so we really have to work to get there. And when you have these high hard goals, these goals that just seem like, oh my gosh, it's a stretch, how am I going to get there, um, just that feeling of how am I going to get there can cause some people to quit. And some people make these high, hard goals, and that's as far as they get, and then end up feeling like they have failed. And that's what we want to avoid. We want to be able to actually reach these high, hard goals and feel good about our progress, even when we make it, 80% of the way, even if we don't get to 100% of what we were hoping to achieve, to see the progress and to feel good about that. But when we quit in this beginning stage, we don't get that sense of accomplishment. We just go, oh my gosh, that's too much for me. I don't think I can do that. It's actually, so Dan Sullivan is a coach for entrepreneurs, and he says 10x goals, so goals that push us 10 times where we're at now, are much more motivating than goals that like only push us 2 times where we are right now. Those high, hard goals are actually motivating in and of themselves. They make us really envision a different future, and they make us have to do things really differently. And because of that, we're able to see progress. So, this goal that you're setting should feel hard. It should feel far away. It should energize you because you know you're going to have to be totally different by the end of this goal. You're going to show up differently to become the person who accomplishes this goal. So, after you've clearly defined your goal and you've decided where you want to go, um, you need to define your path. So, how are you going to get to that goal? And a lot of times we don't know. And so, this is the part where we research and we collect information and we learn. And I see people sometimes getting stuck here. Let's say you want to write a book and you're like, well, I'm going to go study and research. Do I need to get an agent? Do I need to self publish? What are the benefits of doing that? Do I need to grow an email list first? All these things, and people can stay stuck on doing the research without actually making progress on the goal, which is to write a book. So what I suggest here is, yes, you need to research. You need to figure out what's going to work better for you. Are you going to self-publish? Are you going to find a publisher? How are you going to do it? But give yourself a deadline. This is how long I'm going to research, and then I'm just going to move forward. I'm going to choose and move forward, because when we spend time not knowing and we're in this place of confusion and unsure. Yes, we want to write a book. We don't know how. We don't know which path we're going to take to write a book. A decision fatigue can kind of creep in. And this is where we're making so many decisions and it feels so heavy and we don't know and we're uncertain that we feel exhausted before we've ever begun. So give yourself a deadline. In the next week, in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to quickly get some information. I'm going to decide how I'm going to proceed, and then I'm going to proceed. So once you have made that decision of how, some goals take more processing than others, right? If you already know you want to run a marathon, then it might just be as simple as pulling up, a training schedule. Give yourself however much time is needed. Maybe you only need a day on that one. Maybe you need a couple of weeks to figure out how you're going to publish your book, whatever it is. And then give yourself a deadline for the entire goal. So I have goals that I'm working on for the year, and that's my deadline is the end of 2021. I will have accomplished these goals. So once you have your 1 to 3 big goals that you're working on for the year, you then work backwards. Okay, so I've got this goal for the year. What do I need to do each month to accomplish that? And you can kind of break down and have milestones on each month of what that will look like. And from there, every month I turn to a new page in my planner. I know what I need to do that month to accomplish my goal. And then I can see from my month, well, what do I need to do each week to accomplish my monthly goal? And it just breaks it down into bite-sized chunks and it makes it so doable. So now I've got my weekly, and I write this in my planner. So for this week, I have big 3 things that are going to move me towards my big goals for the month. And then every day I say, okay, I'm working towards these big 3 goals for the week. What do I need to do today that will help me accomplish the 3 things that I need to accomplish this week? That little process of breaking it down means that every day I wake up, I know what to do. It's moving me towards my big 3 for the week, which is moving me towards my big 3 for the month, which is moving me towards my big goals for the year. It means that every day I'm making progress, that I can look back and say, you know what? I did these things this month. It's such a good feeling to know that you are making progress. Where a lot of times we're like, oh, as we look back, if we haven't done this process, we're not quite sure if we're on the right path. And we're not quite sure if we're making the progress that we need to make. And we're not quite sure if we're going to accomplish our goals by the end of the year or whenever you hope to have accomplished them by. And so these tiny actions that you take every day are going to help you to see that accomplishment and to make progress towards your goals. So this process is super helpful to actually see progress in your goals, to actually accomplish your goals. And it's also really helpful to go through with a coach, because at any point along the way, you can really get stuck and find yourself either trapped, not knowing what to do, or trapped in your head, just not feeling like that you're going to be able to accomplish it. And so I love to work with people in this space to walk them through each of these steps. So you definitely don't have to do this alone. If this is something you would like help with, schedule a call. I'd love to talk with you and see if coaching is a good fit for you. And have a great day. Hopefully, this has helped you to make progress towards your high, hard goals. And we'll talk later. Have a great day, guys. Bye.